All right, today is Friday and the final viewing of Ferdinand. You have just finished reading the scholarly article. This is the first time I've done this resource, and I like parts of it because I learned a lot of history. Some of the read was a little dry, but I'm hoping you guys have discussed it, and now I'll share some of my observations. So looking into this scholarly article, the first thing I found the most fascinating is how old this picture book is. It's from 1936. I did not realize it was that old. I thought it was actually more modern. And I also didn't realize the impact, how it's been published in 60 countries and there's multiple editions. It's just kind of interesting that it's such a well-known picture book. It's actually not a picture book that was on my shelf for my kids yet, and I vaguely remember it when I was a kid. But when I did reread it, I do remember the story pretty well. So I know I read it when I was younger. But the other thing that I thought was really interesting was how the article argued that the book depends on illustrations to help narrate a story, and hence there is an interdependence between story and illustrations. Because I don't think we've talked much about that, where you do need the pictures to kind of fill in, and if you don't have the pictures, the children's literature doesn't work as well. Now that might be a little different for more grown-up children's lit, like Harry Potter is kind of sometimes considered children's lit, but the picture stuff is really important, and I do agree that that's actually my favorite part about the book. It's also interesting historically that the 1930s picture books started to take off in popularity. That's kind of a project thing. I'd be curious to research a little bit more. And then finally, there needs to be a balance between text and pictures. And I thought that that was really helpful, as well as the idea that picture books are supposed to be for children, but the adult audience is still there, just like in a movie, because the adults are the ones reading the picture book to the kids. And I would agree, when I was a child, I know I loved a lot of different picture books, but now that I'm an adult reading them to my children, there's a new appreciation. So it's kind of cool. In terms of some of my critiques about the article, it is so history-based, and this discussion about the Spanish Civil War was very interesting. I don't know a lot about the Spanish Civil War, but everything that they kind of presented does seem valid. I did reread the picture book, and I did notice there are a lot of vultures in it. I didn't realize that that was a thing. But it's just curious to me because the authors are American, and I've done a little bit of digging on the authors, but it doesn't say much, like if they were political or not. So I don't know. I don't know. I think there's enough evidence to support it based on this article. And there does look like there's some caricatures of the matadors and the bull masters and things like that. But those political tensions and undertones, it's an interesting debate. So there's a lot in that article, and hopefully it helped you think a little bit, and also helping you think about what can you apply from everything we learned into your presentation. Monday is your final workshop day, and then Tuesday you will be presenting. Finally, today's class goals are to finish Ferdinand and then work on the presentations if you have time. Once again, if you have any questions, feel free to email me, or on Tuesday, I will let you pull up your presentations for about 15 minutes and do some final edits, just because I want to be there to conference and support you. But ultimately, we are presenting on Tuesday. So enjoy the rest of Ferdinand.